Right, welcome to my review of episode 1, Star Trek Picard. It's really interesting, this show, because I'd wondered what would be coming out around it, what the end result would be, and we're going to talk non-spoilers first and touch on a little bit on spoilers, but it seems like a massive vanity project for Patrick Stewart, actually. That's all I could really pick up on. Like, focus. It just seemed to really be a big vanity project for Patrick Stewart. Overall, I enjoyed the first episode. There's some really clunky dialogue. Really bad sets. Which there's a scene where he's drinking tea with a visitor. And it's very clear as day that it's a set that they're on. And if it isn't a set, then they need to improve the lighting because it looks like a set. Because of how poorly lit the walls are. It just looks like a, just like a paper mache wall or something like that. It was very odd. But I chose this picture here because I think it's a very apt picture. It's almost like Saint Picard, this show. I can see why Patrick Stewart came back having creative control. It really is a vanity project for Picard. The whole Starfleet is all gone to the dogs and Picard's there to save the day. He's the only man that knows what's right, basically. It's very odd. He appears to be completely flawless in the show in any way, shape or form. And they do try to write it that he is a flawed character because the intro to the show, I guess, or partway through the show, we see him be somewhat, I'm just sat here kind of waiting to die. I'm now going to go off and do this. But we've not seen him do that, so he's not really flawed. It's a very interesting episode. In terms of the cinematography and the storyline and like a technical aspect and things like this, right? It looks, it's like a strange hybrid of nice looking cinematography and locations, i.e. Chateau Picard, the winery where he's supposed to be living now, and dodgy ass sets. So that's very odd, kind of mashup. And there's a huge over-reliance on CG in this show, which because I watched this and I thought to myself, well, maybe I'm looking through this with a dodgy lens. Maybe I need to go back and look at The Next Generation. So I went back to look at The Next Generation. And everything that was supposed to be from the future was things which was actually, I guess, like attainable to a certain degree. Now, I think that that's an interesting thing to take a look at when we look at this show, is that, The Next Generation predicted tablets. Basically, it had tablets and big screens, and there's a whole host of things which The Next Generation had essentially accurately predicted as to what we look at today. But this show takes it a step further. Like, there's drone cameras for people doing a television interview, and there's projector screens, and it's something which the MCU is, well, I guess to blame for as well, or at least popularized it in this day and age, which is the CGI swipey hologram things that you just see and people are just interacting with nothing. I really dislike watching those on screen. I feel it's a bit disingenuous for, well, sci-fi basically. Now, overall, I didn't hate it. Like, the cinematography, again, besides the odd blend, the Frankenstein blend of locations and sets, the cinematography was fine. You can definitely see that it is inspired by J.J. Abrams movies. Basically, there's a lot of lens flares coming out the arse. It's just left, right and center lens flares. And it's an interesting world we come into with Starfleet and Picard and things like this. It's not really spoilers because these things have been touched on in the trailers, but essentially Picard is a retired admiral. Now, he's retired for a reason, which we'll touch on in spoilers briefly. And Starfleet has essentially given up. They've reclused in on themselves. They are hermits, which is a very odd thing to think about because it's an interplanetary alignment, multi-species conglomerate, I guess you could say, that is now reclusive. Odd, but whatever. And he is basically not this utopia, which was previously thought to have been the case, or was what Star Trek used to project forward. And that's it. That's kind of the world setting. But I really do mean this when I say it. Like, it is an absolute vanity project for Patrick Stewart. Like, he is, I'm going to save the day. He is a vision for other people. Literally, other people have visions of him. He's the only man that can do this. He is the one. That's basically what this first episode came across as. The uniforms, the kind of outfits that they were wearing, the set designs and all of that stuff was fine. There were some dodgy ass motorcycle helmets in one of the first scenes. Super dodgy. You'll know exactly what I mean when you watch it, and those that have seen it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Motorcycle helmets. What are you doing? Come on, CBS. You've got a reasonable amount of money here. Get the costumes a little bit more on point. That was terrible. Outside of that, clunky ass dialogue, but it has a sort of compelling narrative. First episode makes me want to watch to see how it unfolds, but the clunky dialogue is really terrible. And if this continues the way I think it is, it's just a vanity project for Patrick Stewart. This is not the Jean-Luc Picard that we remember. It's really not. I don't remember him being painted as this savior of all mankind, which is essentially what he's become in this show. I give it like a 5 out of 10, I guess. 5 out of 10. It's neither good nor bad. The good cinematography is let down by dodgy sets. Good locations let down by dodgy sets. Good to see Patrick Stewart back. He's a good actor. He seems to kind of half phone it in, half not. And I think there were definitely some delays on this. And I think the dialogue is so unrefined and unnatural and clunky that really does, display that there was some delays on this. They cut this up to the wire, I believe, anyway. So that's it. That's 5 out of 10. We'll talk spoilers now, right? Who's this girl? Who is the girl that they're trying to save? She's like a Data clone, but not. They don't really explain it. Basically, they've kind of cloned Data and made daughters from him, but he drew her 30 years before. Doesn't really make any sense. Basically, Jean-Luc Picard lives on his winery. He's a recluse. He left Starfleet because they abandoned they abandoned Romulans, but also did. And then synthetics are now a thing, but synthetics rebelled and blew up Mars. And that's why he left Starfleet. Now, Data is obviously destroyed. He's not around anymore. But Picard keeps having dreams of Data. And he looks real bad in that suit. He looks pudgy and it doesn't suit him. Like, it's no disrespect to the actor, but he can't pull it off anymore, right? He's not got the physique. He looks a bit odd. He's Data. He's supposed to be ageless. Why does he look like he's aged and ate, a few mince pies across the holiday period? So Picard keeps having dreams of Data, and then we flash cut to this girl, which is in the trailers. She's with her boyfriend, and motorbike gang wielding helmet wearing idiots beam down, kill her boyfriend, and say she hasn't activated yet. She hasn't activated. Bag her, or something, like knock her out, and they put a bag on her head, and that apparently knocks her out. Like, fuck off. And then she activates and kills them all, becomes like a superhero. That bit, I didn't really care about that. Like, people, I'm sure I can hear all the rage-aholics now going, it was a Mary Sue. Well, look, they've written a reason as to why she's a synthetic, basically. She's a humanoid, flesh and bones synthetic, cloned from Data. That's what she is. Now, she dies in an incident. And that's what spurs Picard on to go to Okinawa Biology Cybernetics Institute and questions about it, and then shows a necklace that she was wearing to one of the researchers. And it turns out that it was the former boss of that researcher that's probably done all of this, because that's something that he had made, the necklace. And that's when it's revealed that there's going to be a clone. There's clearly another one. They're made in pairs. And that's what the necklace represents. It's basically two circles conjoined. It's like the symbol of infinity, but not. And that's it. That's where the episode ends. But throughout all of this, Picard is banging on about how he must do it. He must save the day. I won't ever leave you. I'm going to help protect you. I'm this, I'm that. It's very, very odd. And because the dialogue is so clunky, like, it's really noticeable that this is just a vanity project. It's super, super strange. And that, I mean, that's really it. There's not too much else that happens. Just super bizarre that it's, I don't know. I didn't hate it, didn't love it. Didn't hate it, didn't love it. I'll be watching it again. But at the moment, it's a bit odd. I won't say there's over politics in there. I'm sure some people will. I mean, there's definitely, isolationists and things like this, and you could probably throw some allegories out there for synthetics and all of this kind of nonsense, I'm sure. I'm very much certain that the Romulans, who they went off to save, will probably be an allegory for immigrants at some point in this show. That's my hot prediction. But at the end of the day, nothing came out like this. It more was... The most offensive part is it's just very clear cut as day a vanity project for Patrick Stewart. And he was good in it. Everyone was good in it, aside from the clunky ass dialogue. And watching him run on that rooftop was abysmal. Don't get Patrick Stewart to run. He's like 80 years old. For God's sake, you can't. He doesn't pull. Don't do it. Don't do it. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode. Let me know down below in the comments if you're new here. Do hit subscribe. Stay up to date on the world of pop culture and movie news by hitting the bell notification icon. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you give it my score? 5 out of 10? Love to hear. I've been Mr. H though. Take care.